Welcome to Holding Space with Authentically Amy. This is a place where you don't have to perform, prove, or hold it all together. You're allowed to exhale, to feel, to speak, or just be. Here, your truth is safe, your emotions are honored, and your soul is gently invited to the surface. I'm not here to fix you because I don't believe you're broken. I believe your soul already knows the way. My role isn't to give you advice, but to hold a steady frequency of love so you have space to rise. This podcast is an extension of my own healing. If you're here, you belong, and I'm honored to sit beside you. Welcome, Bianca. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for allowing me to hold space for you. It's just an honor for me to do this. I want to ask you if there is anything heavy on your heart today that you would like to talk about, that I can hold space for you and listen and maybe be a source of help.
Yeah, thank you, Amy, for having me.
Absolutely.
I think probably more with like relationships and how hard it can be um, to have, good relationships and friendships when you do struggle with chronic illness and like mental health struggles.
Absolutely. I don't know how familiar you are with my story. Do you mind if I share a little bit of my story with you?
No, please do.
Yeah, I have chronic illness as well. You and I have a lot in common. I spent the first week of June in a mental health hospital, the first time in my life, for depression, unable to care for myself the way I needed to be cared for. And so I understand exactly what you're talking about. I know the struggles and I know it's real and I know it's something that a lot of people deal with. They just don't talk about because nobody gives you a space to talk about that's safe. Everybody judges you and that kind of thing. And so I want you to know that you're safe to talk about that here and that I completely understand. I just want to be, a voice that helps you know that you're not alone and know that there are lots of other people out there that are struggling with the same thing. And I want to commend you for being willing to come on here and talk about it publicly and be vulnerable because I know that's not easy. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me too. I think there is a lot of judgment around, mental health, even some chronic illness, like if it's an invisible disability and just people really still like it's so big, it's so stigmatized still, which I'm kind of shocked by because growing up in South Africa, it is still stigmatized there. Like it's crazy how stigmatized it's still there. But here, I think we've come a long way, but unfortunately, there's still such a big stigma around it.
Absolutely. I didn't realize that you grew up in Africa. Sorry, I'm like, what? We have to go
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
that. Like,
I was born and raised in South Africa.
wow, that's
Yeah,
really cool.
thank
I mean,
you.
I say that from a person who hasn't experienced that. So I don't know what that experience was like for you, but it's interesting.
Yeah, that is kind of how I found the whole thing is like when I was growing up, I always knew like something was wrong with me or like I was a little different in the sense of, life wasn't really easy and I really wasn't allowed to get a lot of help because there really wasn't any help. And I was only able to get help a little later on in my life, but it wasn't the right help. And so when I came to America and I was able to get help, they threw me with all these different things, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? What does that even mean? Whereas in South Africa, my friends didn't even know what anxiety meant. And so it's been definitely a journey living here. But I think the thing that's similar or the same, no matter where you are in South Africa or here, is the judgment I faced from family members, friends. It's still the same, no matter where I was. That people just truly, you just get it. You get a certain type of person who just don't believe in mental health. Yeah.
Oh, there are plenty of them out there for sure.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't have a big family anymore, but the ones I have is supportive. I don't think they will understand completely, just because we are so more open and accepting in America to an extent. But I think for me, the hard part was because I had to like create my own chosen family in America since I don't have any. I came here by myself. Um,
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely have noticed a lot of people, specifically here in Texas, because I've lived in Minnesota where people were a little bit more accepting about this. But in Texas,
Mhm.
I had a really hard time meeting people who would want to
Yeah.
be friends with you if you struggle a little bit more than the average person.
Yeah. It makes me think of several things. First of all, with the family, they knew who you were before all of this. They have an expectation for you, and when you don't become what they expect you to be, it's hard for them to accept. That's what I've come to understand, that it's just hard for them to accept, and it's not something that they're doing on purpose. It's
Yeah.
something that they just don't know how to deal with. And the friend situation, meeting people who, this is holding space, meeting people who are willing and able to hold space for what you need is very difficult, especially in today's society, because people are so busy and they have so much going on. And our culture and our society pushes accomplishment. And so people are finding their worth in how much they can accomplish. And you're right, it is difficult to find people who are willing to hold the space that you need to give you what you need to be able to form that friendship.
I know. Yeah, it's been a hard pill to swallow, but I have learned now that it's more, people do want to have more fun and have lighthearted conversations when they're around you. They don't want to be there or hold that space when things are really tough, because I think people they don't want to share about their stuff that's going on in their lives, they just hide in the closet about it. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. How have you been dealing with that so far?
It was really rough on me moving here first, like in 2016, because the cultures are so different. Um, I would say I'm used to it now. However, I've been really having a rough time this past. I think we moved back to Texas about 2 years ago, and it's for some reason I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm definitely a deep person, and I like to be there, and talk about the real stuff. And I haven't found a lot of people who are like that, and so I've been having. It's been very isolating to
Mhm.
find that type of community who wants to be there through the hard stuff.
Yes, I totally understand that. And I'm going to challenge something that you just said. You just said, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I'm going to challenge that thinking that there's nothing wrong with you. Society teaches us that if things don't go the way we expect them to, that something's wrong with us, that we're not fitting in. But that's not the case at all. That there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't found the community of people that you're meant to find yet. And so I want to challenge that thinking. And it may be something that you just said, not thinking about it, but I'd want to dig in there if we can just a minute. Is that something that you feel like there is something wrong with you, that is your fault that this is happening?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I felt this way since I was a little girl growing up. Like, something's wrong with me. I'm different. Like, I don't know why I'm like this, but yeah, definitely it's been ingrained in me. And specifically when you don't find that community or you lose, friendships and stuff, it definitely goes back to that thought.
Yeah, ooh, I relate. That resonates with me deeply because I have felt that my entire life as well. I have felt that I was just different than everyone. I didn't fit in really anywhere. And what I have come to learn is that there's nothing wrong with me. There's something very right with me. Like I am who I am. And when I learn to accept that that's who I am and I have these needs and these desires, and that doesn't make it wrong, it just makes it part of who I am. I learned to start looking in different places for my community. So, my question to you now is, do you think maybe you're trying to be the person that you think these community or these people want you or expect you to be? And so it's not working because you're trying to be someone that you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely am trying to be what they want me to be, which is, let's have fun, let's be normal. And that what is normal, but just, let's not talk, let's not have a panic attack because some people think you can control when you have a panic attack, which you can't. So
Exactly.
just trying to be a certain way, and that has been backfiring, obviously, because I get in situations where I'm having such a rough time, and then I can't talk about it, and then I'd have to leave the situation, and then people don't like that, and I keep finding myself in the same cycle.
Yeah, yeah, and that's tough because like you don't know what else to do
Mm-mm.
because you don't this is what you've done. It sounds like this is what you've done your whole life and it has never really worked for you, yet you still continue to do it because you don't know what else to do. And that exactly what you said that it starts this cycle that you have been doing, that you have been continuing. And so I'm just curious to know if there is a way that you think you could break that cycle, because that's what happens in all parts of life. We get into that cycle and it continues and continues until we make a choice and do something that breaks the cycle. And it can be something simple, it can be something shocking, it can be anything that breaks that cycle. And so I'm just curious what comes to mind when I say that.
I think something that I've been really trying to work on, and it's been really tough, is I need to be okay, learn how to be okay that if I don't have a lot of friends. I think that's really important for me because I do have a lovely husband. I think it's really good to have sometimes friends as well. And I think for me, I think the biggest step would be to learn it's okay to not have a lot of close friends in my circle. I think that would be the first step to be okay with that and be okay to be more alone. And that's where I keep getting stuck, because now I want to search, right? You want to search these friendships, and then that becomes almost like forcing friendships, and it's probably not the right type of friendship. And then
Yeah.
I have a good intuition, and I usually see red flags, but I even push the red flags aside because I just want
Same.
to not feel isolated. Yeah.
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 Absolutely. I apologize for continuing to talk about myself, but I feel like I have experienced so many similar things as you. I feel like it might be helpful. Is that okay if I continue to share my experience? What I learned, because exactly the same thing, I did the exact same thing. And what I learned was that I have to figure out who I am first. And that's why I teach self-discovery now, because that was the magic for me, that I had to dig deep and figure out, who am I really, apart from everybody else, apart from my partner, apart from my friends, apart from my family, apart from my career. Who am I at the core level? And digging deep into that really helped me figure out, like, oh man, I am not looking in the right place at all. And it kind of goes along the same lines of, you can't truly love someone else until you learn to truly love yourself. And it's the same thing in all areas of life. Like, we can't truly be a friend to someone else until we have learned to be a friend to ourselves. And so I feel like that's bing 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 right there,
Oh,
light bulb moment. You got it. Like, you already know. But I'm just curious, like, what does that look like? How do you go about learning to accept who you are? And I know that you said learning to be okay being alone, because that's part of accepting who you are. That's not where you're going to stay. It's just part of the process to get you to being able to figure out what kind of friends you really need. And so, what does that look like? Like, what's the first step in you figuring out how to be alone and how to really discover who you are?
yeah. So I've been doing EMDR therapy lately,
Oh,
and it's been intense, I'm not gonna lie. And it's
right?
clearing up a lot of old stuff, but it really does make sense, why I think the way I do and stuff because of my upbringing. So to me is like first just getting through the hard, talking about the past, like working through that, and then learning like why I'm responding the way I do. I think that's like a big piece for me, like where everything's coming from. And then honestly, I know that I'm a deep person. I know that I, struggle with chronic illness. I know I struggle with mental health. I've just been told my whole life that that's not okay.
Yeah.
However, um, it's not all of me. I know that I'm apart from that. I don't want to claim that this is who, because it's not who I am, but it is a part of me. And I think if anybody can't accept that part of me, then they can't get a seat at my table. And that's really hard
Yes.
to do, but I do need to,
Mhm.
I'm working really hard to get there because what is the point of, having someone in your life for the good time? But then when things get really hard, and I will share, like I've been an inpatient before as well, and those people disappear. They
Yeah.
don't want to be there when it's that hard. And I think we both deserve better, and we deserve
Yeah.
people that can be there through the good and the bad. And so for me, it's like working, keep doing the EMDR, but then also realizing like this is a part of who I am and it's not going to go anywhere. And if somebody can't love me for all the good things and the bad, then they just can't be a part of my life.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that because it's so true. That's such a powerful place to be. It's scary. It's a scary place to be, right? But it's such a powerful place to be because it's like you're breaking that cycle and you're finally figuring out like this is the direction I need to go. I need to just take one step in this direction and see what happens. And it can be lonely, but that I have found that the loneliness is actually very healing because it forces you to go inside. It forces you to dig deep into who you are and figure out what's there. And so I would encourage you to see that loneliness as a gift to be able to see and learn more about yourself.
I love
I
that.
Yeah, yeah. And this is just, it's so beautiful. I love the work that you have done and that you are doing, and that it sounds like you're already headed in the right direction.
I think I'm going the right direction. It's sometimes just, it sometimes can get so challenging when things pull you back, or, social media is great and also very bad. So
Yeah.
I definitely have a social media seeing like, how a lot of people like get together with their friends and their community and their family, and that usually pulls me back in the cycle. And so it's very important for me to limit my time on certain apps and things like that as well.
I'm going to say something here about that when you see those people having fun out with their friends, doing all the things, it looks like they're having a great time, and they probably are. But I will say that most of them probably haven't connected enough with themselves that they depend on those other relationships to find their sense of self-worth, to give them who they are. And so it may be an unhealthy place. They may look like they're having a great time, and they probably are, but when they're not with those people, I'm sure the story is so different because they haven't discovered who they are. Does that make sense?
Ah, I've never thought about it that way. That's
Yeah,
actually
it's
think about it that way.
what's that?
Very powerful, like just to think about it in that perspective.
Yeah. And you don't like I didn't learn to think about it in that perspective until I was on the other side of it. And I was like, I'm just perfectly fine being by myself. I love to be with people too, but I am perfectly fine being by myself. And I know that some people have to have other people to make them feel like they're worthy, and that's a sad place to be.
Exactly.
And yeah, so not that I want you to, not that I'm saying like every time you see people gathering, you're like, oh, I feel so sad for them. They're
Yeah.
probably miserable by themselves, but just a perspective, a different perspective of, again, breaking the cycle of maybe seeing it from a different perspective, to help you manage those feelings.
I really like how you said that because I think for me also like being by my having to be around people has been such a big part of my life because I don't want to be alone in my feelings and having to deal with the past, and I can definitely see how that's been a problem. So
Yeah.
I really like that statement.
Good. I'm glad it's helpful.
Yeah.
I will also say another thing that I found helpful when I was really in the thick of things in my chronic illness, and I had to relearn to walk. I couldn't. It was a horrible experience. I did find some connection through social media, through those groups of chronic illness people the just some connection in that way, who understood what I was going through in that sense. But I had to be careful because some of those people would drag me even further down, you
It's
know, and I wondered if you have experienced that.
yeah, that's the thing that I always for me it's like I think somebody asked me this in a podcast before too, actually. Do we think like we're going too far, like with mental health? And I think some people want to, all they think they are is depression or anxiety. That's just they think that's all they are. That's not a good place to be at all because that is not who they are. And I think for me, I've had people in my life who I connect with mental health struggles, but I have been dragged down because I am the type of person who would put their needs before mine, and it can get really negative real quick. And some people don't want to move away from that. They want to be in that space because and that's not great. So for me, it's like I know Bianca is not only mental health. Like I have a lot of other values and things that's good about me. However, it is a part of me. And I think that's really hard for a lot of people to get to. But I have also been in groups where people don't want to. I think it's scary, because if you've struggled for so long with specific illnesses, and I think maybe if you've been depressed your whole life, it's very scary to let go of that. Because you really don't
Yeah,
know who you are without it. And I've been there. I've been there for a really long time.
absolutely. That's such a great point, that people become their illness.
Yes.
And I did that. Like my mission in life became trying to figure out how to get well. Like that was all I did. That was all I focused on. And so I love that point because it's so true. And even people who live on disability, which I
Mhm.
do, I have a disability, and so I live on disability, don't want to get better because that might mean that they're not able to get that disability, and that things will have to change, and they will have to grow, and they will have to expand, and like we're intended to do in
I've
life.
heard that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will share. So I struggle with, I mean, people call it the TikTok trend now, but which is really sad actually. But I do struggle with POTS. So
No way. I have POTS too.
you do? Really?
Yes. Isn't that
Oh,
wild?
it's wild. And the amount of, yeah, let's just say it's not been great with how like doctors talk about it, and it's hard to find the right specialist, and then people have their own comments about it. It's been a roller coaster, but it's been really like debilitating for me because it really affects your whole body. And so for me, I've actually been falling, which is wild. And my doctors were like, Bianca, you need to get a walker. And I'm young, and I'm like, a
Mm-hmm.
walker? How was I, you go on these TikTok and stuff, and people who are like 16, 17 are in a wheelchair with POTS. And I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't have a walker. Nope, because I'm gonna look like a disability. I can't look like that. They're like, well, Bianca, you can have like a disability plaque. Nope, I can't do that. What are people gonna say about me? And it got really bad this past couple of months where I can't get out of the house. Like it's just, man, and it's something I don't talk about to a lot of people because they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to hear it. And
Yeah.
I finally gave in and I got myself this modern looking walker, and it's been life changing. I've been able to travel. I've been able to like go out in public, and do people look at me? Yes, they do. They stare. But
Mm-hmm.
it's been life changing to like not think about what other people are going to say and like actually do something that I can like live my life better. But
Oh,
and yeah, that's been like a success story for me because I refuse to use this walker for like 6 months. So
I love it. That's so beautiful. And so often the things that we fear and the things that are uncomfortable and the things that we're determined not to do, what we really want out of life is on the other side of those. That when we choose to just accept it and allow it to be and be like, maybe life won't be what I think it will be if I do this or if I choose this, it can be such a beautiful thing. And it sounds like that's the case for you.
Yes, yeah. I just think it's crazy that you have POTS too. I actually don't have anybody in my life who struggles with it. So it's been
So
an interesting game.
we need to be friends.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, that's what caused me to pass out and break my neck to begin with. I
Oh my
wrote
God.
an entire book about it because it's been quite a journey. It took 6 years to figure out, go, like you said, all the tests and all the things and to figure out that's what I had. And yeah,
So
I didn't realize there was a TikTok trend
no, people
though.
call it the TikTok trend. I kid you not. There's people that go on TikTok, they say they think they have POTS, and then doctors gaslighting, people and say you just have anxiety. And, they made me feel crazy. I'm not gonna lie, until I found the right doctor here in
Yeah.
Dallas, who actually people from all over this country fly to come see him too. He's a POTS specialist. And he finally
Yeah.
he was like, oh my gosh, like you have a really severe form of POTS. I was like, thank you. Like it's not great.
Yeah.
At least we know something's not right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so freeing. Like I always wanted to get a diagnosis because I
Yeah.
was like, at least I know what it is and how I can deal with it instead of just wondering and trying to figure it out myself. Yeah, I'm so glad that you embraced it and just allowed it to be. And you're like, you know what? This is part of my life. I'm going to allow it to be and I'm going to live it up and people can stare and who cares,
I
This is
know.
how I
It took
live.
a long time to get there, but I think it came
Yeah.
to the point of like I have so many goals and dreams for my life, and despite that I'm young, I can't let this keep me in my house and make me like worse mentally as well. And my husband's super supportive, and I was, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna use this mobility aid, which meant for people who struggle with things like we do. And yeah, it's been life changing. But yeah, it definitely took me a while to get here because I definitely have heard from people and like get it together. You're
Yeah.
being weak. Like I would like you're so young. I mean, look at you. Why are you like this? People can be really nasty
Yeah.
until
Yeah. And what's that?
it happens to them. I've realized when people like they haven't experienced something similar, then they can say all these things, but once it hits them, then that's a whole different story.
Right. It's so true. And I think when people don't understand something, they just automatically negate it and they just think it's wrong and they think it's bad. I mean, it's the same thing with religion and with any part
Oh
of
yeah.
life. If they don't understand it, they're automatically pushing against it to make people feel like they're wrong. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
simply because they don't understand it. So I've really started to have some empathy for people who do that. In my mind, I just say to myself, they just don't understand. And because at first I would let it bother me. It would just really upset me and I would cry, and then I came to realize it's just because they don't understand it. I didn't understand it before, like you said, before I experienced it. And so yeah, it just um understanding that other people don't understand has helped me deal with it too.
Yeah. No, I agree as well.
You know what? I know that you're going to inspire so many people who are listening and watching this because there are so many people out there like us who, like I said, don't talk about it, don't have any safe place to go to talk about it, and are just like you in the place that you were in, where refuse to admit their frailty and refuse to admit that they needed some kind of mobility aid, but are seeing you now choose to do that and still being able to live your life and be happy and joyful and do things that you weren't able to do before is it's so beautiful. I just thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, that means a lot because yeah, that took me a really long time to get there. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get it. Totally understand. And again, I want to just thank you for coming on here and allowing me to hold space for you. I know at the beginning you said that this was heavy on your heart, and so I just want to check back in with you now if you feel like that has lifted or if we need to keep going and talk about if there's some more that you need to discuss.
I definitely feel lighter, and so thank you because yeah, no, and I really don't talk about the chronic illness aspect of it because it is such a brand like a new diagnosis, and I've struggled for a long time, but I only got it last year, the official diagnosis, and yeah, it's been really heavy on my heart, and like what happened with friendships because of it and stuff. So I really appreciate you like holding that space because it's not easy for me to talk about. And then of course I always say like if you have chronic illness and mental health is like a double whammy, and I don't know what's worse anymore at this point, but together it's not great. So yeah,
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. No, it's my honor to be able to do that because I know what it's like to feel that way. And I really believe that we don't necessarily have a mental illness issue. I believe that we have a presence issue that we are not allowing people to, we're not holding space for people to talk about it in a safe way. And it leads to mental health issues. So, that's a whole rabbit trail I could go down. But
No,
I really believe, right? I
yeah,
think it's,
because I'm actually in graduate school to become a therapist because it's been a lifelong dream, and
yeah,
I can't even tell you how many times I've met therapists who honestly made me worse. And I think a lot of people that I've met along my journey, they don't go to therapy because I had one bad experience. And that's just
yeah,
like religion or any, you know what I mean? But it's so sad because now they don't get the help that they deserve. And so I think it's really important to talk about that and say like that's kind of more common and it's okay to see someone else, go find a different therapist. So
absolutely. I have two therapists. One of them's EMDR and the other is just a regular therapist.
close enough too.
Yeah, right? Like, but then, then this holding space is a completely different thing. Like, I don't want people to think that I'm recommending holding space instead of therapy. Like, they all work together.
Oh
They
yeah.
all have a place where they can all work together, and it's just really powerful thing. I think people need more. We're so disconnected. We're actually more connected than ever through our devices, but we're more disconnected than ever emotionally and being able to sit together and just talk about things like this. That's one of the reasons I started this. That people just need to talk and they need a safe place to just talk
I'll
and
give
to
you
open
I
up.
love that you're doing this because yeah, I agree. There's so many people who need to share and they don't know where to go. And even if they
Yeah.
don't choose therapy, just having someone to listen is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I'm just grateful to be able to do it, to feel guided to do it. And again, thank you for being willing to come on and be vulnerable and to talk about hard things that you're not able to talk about with other people. It warms my heart and I just feel really, really grateful.
Thank you. No, thank you. This has mean a lot to me.
Good. I'm so glad that it's been helpful. I like to ask at the end before we close if there is anything you'd like to share. Do you offer services or any way that people can connect with you that maybe you can help them?
Yeah, so I actually am a mental health advocate. So very, very something that's a big passion of mine. So I actually created my own Be Brave journal, which I'm very proud of. It's like the front is a lion and like a strong lion that represents strength. And then there's a lot of clouds and darkness surrounding him, like those chronic illness, the mental health struggles. It's like taking him away. But he has one
Mm.
paw on a solid rock, which is like that's grounded and like he is trying and pushing through despite the struggles. And so I am like selling my journal on Amazon and Ingram Spark on my Etsy store. I also sell like cute little mental health inspirational pens. And then I am actually launching my website in September, where I will be having my own brand of mental health t-shirts and mug and things, which I'm super excited about because we need to talk about it openly, right? And I would love for more people to not be afraid to wear a shirt that represents something with mental health. So that is kind of what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, I got chills. Like that is so good. I love it. I just bought a shirt from I think it's called One More Day.
Mhm.
that says better days are coming on the front, and on the back it says stay another day. And I love that because I thought, there are so many people out there asking, just give me a sign, just give me a sign that I need to be here, that I don't need to end it all, and that I can be a walking sign. And like your shirts, I'm like, I'm so excited to get a hold of all of your stuff. So I'm like,
You.
I'm going to support all of that because we need to do that. Especially those of us who have dealt with it, we know how important it is to spread that message. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm excited to support you and get your message out there. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah, if right now, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you or to find your things?
Yeah, I would say, so I'm on Instagram, majority of Instagram. I'm on TikTok and Facebook as well, and it's called Anxious Girl Adventures. So
Ah,
Anxious Girl Adventures, and kind of fun how this name came up because I'm just an anxious girl, and
right?
a big value of mine is adventures and traveling. And um, yeah, like if you've a funny story I always share is I wanted to be a flight attendant. Now I hate flying because I'm so anxious. And so it's
Yeah.
kind of a funny thing, but also like I do everything. I live the exposure lifestyle of like still doing everything I want to do. That's the value of mine, despite having anxiety and panic attacks while doing it. And so that's kind of how we got to Anxious Girl Adventures.
Wow, what an example you are for people, because depression and anxiety, as you know, go hand in hand. And I deal with anxiety too. But to see that you're out there doing the things anyway, even with the anxiety, is just such a beautiful, powerful thing that I think a lot of people can resonate with. So thank you so much. Go ahead and share what your website is going to be because this podcast will go out about the time that maybe your website is ready.
Anxious Girl Adventures as well, like
Dot
.com.
com.
And there will
Okay.
be lots of things on there. And my links to my journal and my mental health pens, my Etsy store, everything will be linked to that as well. So very excited.
Yeah, perfect. All right. I will put all of the links on ways to contact Bianca in the show notes so that you all can get in touch with her and connect with her and support her and spread her message and help get this mental health crisis and this mental health message out there so that more people know that we're here and that we're here to support them. So, Bianca, it has been such a pleasure to get to know you. And I have a new friend. I'm so excited. And
Thank you so much, Amy. I feel less alone already in this struggle.
I'm so glad. It makes my heart so happy. Well, I want to again thank you for being here and being willing to be vulnerable and allowing me to hold space for you. For those of you listening and watching, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching and listening. If you have found this helpful, please share it so that others may join our journey. And until then, I will be here holding space for you. Thank you for being here. And to my guest, thank you for your honesty, your courage, and your truth. It's an honor to hold space for people like you. If something in this episode stirred something in you, if you breathed deeper, softened, or felt a pull inward, consider this your invitation. Whether you're ready to share publicly or prefer to remain anonymous, I'd love to hold space for you too. This work isn't just for podcasts, it's for people everywhere. And I'm bringing it into businesses, schools, communities, organizations, anywhere humans need a place to be and for someone to hold space for them. To learn more or to schedule your own session or to be a guest on this podcast, visit www.getamyshelp.com or just reach out to me. I'll meet you with open arms and a quiet, sacred seat. Until next time, thank you for being beautifully, unapologetically human.